What's up, guys, and welcome back for another EVE Online solo Null-Sec video. So in this one, we're going to be kind of just, it's been a pretty low-key morning here in Null Block, but we're going to be I'm going to talk a little bit about just like data sites and stuff like that, and let you guys see some data site runs. And data sites are one of those things that I don't really necessarily enjoy doing. I mean, in terms of like export, the ISK is not great. But it's also just one of those things where I do them just to like not leave anything on the table, because I do enjoy doing invention, especially, and most of the time I'm not even like inventing Tech 2 blueprints to necessarily manufacture them, but I can also, in most cases, sell those Tech 2 blueprints to people who do want to produce them. So it's kind of, it does pay off after a while. It's just kind of a shot in the dark for the most part. And I also just am a real stickler about, clearing system SIGs and everything. And I know a lot of people who do data relic sites, and like me too, I carry a cargo scanner, and I will occasionally scan the targets and kind of see what's in them. But for the most part, I end up clearing the whole thing. I'll take the carbon, I'll take everything out of the whole thing, and that's so I can clear the SIG. I know that's not very efficient. I know that there's a better way to just like go in there, grab the best nodes, and then kind of bounce. But in terms of like, if I'm the only one like in like the constellation that's really doing the exploration sites, I'd rather clear the SIG and potentially make room for other SIGs. But I do find I do like seeing the relic sites over data sites for the most part, because I don't necessarily manufacture rigs. So the stuff you get out of relic sites is just so light, and it's very good for export. A lot of the reasons I'm focusing a lot on data sites the past few days is because I want to showcase a lot of invention down the road, and just getting that stuff kind of situated, and getting the data cores and the decoders, all that stuff kind of like stocked up. Because even after like a couple of days of just doing like 4 or 5 data sites a day, you can start to really kind of get a good stockpile and give yourself a lot of options in terms of invention. And I'll probably, in the next episode, I gotta make some blueprint copies and stuff like that, but I think in the next episode we'll actually kind of run through the whole invention process, and then we'll see the results and all that stuff, and kind of compare value and everything. But what's nice about living in Null solo is there's always something to do, especially if you diversify yourself. So, I mean, regular, anom combat sites are always available if you're in the right areas, and like that stuff is, if I have absolutely nothing else to do in the system, then I'll be out there running ports in the Tengu or rally points if I'm really feeling really lazy. But I tend to like kind of like not waste anything in terms of, for a long time whenever I was running the Solo Omega series on my main, and we were primarily doing rated DED sites in the Marauder, the Golem, I would not loot anything because I wasn't really after loot. I was really after like the Overseer caches for export. But more recently, since I've only got the Tengu out here with this alt, I am just looting everything, and a lot of that has to do with kind of some of the other stuff I want to kind of showcase in terms of just kind of getting a lot of materials when you're not even really mining for the most part. Because if you get into like the venture sino manufacturing market, you can do really, really well making ventures simply from the loot you get from these rat sites and just melting it down. That will, I'll probably show that pipeline probably in like a week or so. I'm really kind of trying to maximize my scrap metal processing going into that. And so what I'm doing over the course of the next like few days is I'm essentially just running these sites on the Tengu and just, taking all the loot, stockpiling it, not even going to reprocess it. And then what we'll do is we'll take all that loot and we'll just melt it down, and then we'll make some ventures and do some invention and a lot of that stuff. I would say that most of the time, like my morning routine whenever I like get on Eve for the first time during the day, my morning routine is checking PI. PI is probably my biggest passive income right now, and I'm primarily just making mechanical parts, right? And then passively making nanites. And I'm only using one character per PI because I'm really trying to stick to this whole like single character, like one character, one account kind of situation. So obviously, like I could do like crazy amounts of ISK a month if I committed like 6 tunes to PI and Null-Sec. We could be doing like, repair pace. We could be doing like fuel blocks, but like I've been just kind of really enjoying the whole like single character kind of situation and maximizing the ability of what one character can do. So what essentially my PI looks like is I have 2 planets that make precious metals, I have 2 planets that make reactive metals, and then I have a process planet that turns those into mechanical parts. Mechanical parts sell really, 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 really well because they go into the fuel block PI, not just as like a actual material input, but like you have to have basically, if you are actually making fuel blocks from scratch, you have to double down on mechanical parts because mechanical parts go into robotics, but they also go into the BPO as a required input. So that can limit a lot of people. And even when I was making fuel blocks, I ended up finding myself not having enough mechanical parts. And that was even me running PI on several tunes to facilitate that. So that's really my main strategy for doing mechanical parts and just selling it to people who are making fuel blocks because I'm kind of filling that gap for them. And that's really important in Null-Sec too, is, finding a market because like there's no point in like doing something crazy if you can't offload that stuff and sell it. So you got to figure out what the needs are and then how you can kind of fill gaps. And that allows you to basically have a guaranteed market to sell pretty much everything. But like today, we're just kind of working on these data sites, getting all the data cores and everything. And after a few days, we'll kind of start doing some invention stuff. I currently have a max researched venture BPO. And then I also have my nanite repair pace, my fuel block BPOs, and things like that. And then whenever I find like BPCs and data sites too, I'll usually make that stuff and offload it if it's worth it in most cases. But I kind of like just hoarding loot from like data and relic sites and just clearing SIGs, because clearing your SIGs on your system is going to move you down the list on the agency, so you don't have to worry too much about visitors or whatever the case may be. But also they're just really, really easy to do. For me personally, I tend to like watch local like a hawk. So it's actually really kind of stressful for me to do like data relic sites because I'm concentrating on the actual hack itself while also constantly reminding myself to check local. It's a little bit different with like ratting because like, you have a target, you have your guns on it, it's shooting, and you can kind of watch local and you're not really bouncing back and forth to doing like a super concentrated activity while also making sure you split your attention away from what's happening around you. So exploration is a great way to make IS, but as far as like anxiety goes, it can be a little stressful compared to like any of the other things that you normally do. I'll also try to touch in these future episodes a little bit more on the mining aspect of things. I gotta get some like ice mining gear out to Null-Sec and probably some more specialized moon gear. But I think we'll probably go on once I get all that stuff kind of like situated, we'll go on a stint of kind of showing off moon mining, showing off ice mining. I need to bring gas stuff out because in our constellation that I'm in, there is gas that kind of shows up, but it's kind of few and far between. I didn't really bring gas stuff out with me because it's just kind of a rare occurrence for it to happen, so it wasn't really worth the thing. But as far as like the data site difficulty, they're not difficult. There's a lot of travel. Some of the ones that are like really spread out with like 5 nodes, it can take real long, not a long time, but it's tedious to like travel from one node to another. So it's just something that I personally get bored at in waiting. Then the other ones that have like 6 nodes where they're like a little bit more closer together, so you can kind of go from one to the other and kind of go up. They're a lot more manageable. But I've done exploration so much up to this point that like I just know that even if it's a non-cherry picked data site, I might be lucky if I pull 3 million out of it, which doesn't sound bad. But when you compare it to like, I've pulled like 50, 60 million out of a single relic site, which is really, really nice. But you can't really like just completely disregard data sites either, because if it's your only source, if it's your only source of getting data cores and decryptors or decoders and stuff like that for invention, I mean, data sites are more efficient than R&D agents and things. And I run R&D agents in Null-Sec, but it's like you have to have your negotiation skill pretty much maxed out. You have to have your connection skill pretty much maxed out. And then depending on what research you're going for with that agent, you have to have that specialty skill maxed out just to get the most research points a day. And then at the end of it, the things still cost 100, like the data core still cost 100 research points and 10,000 ISK. So it's not like you're going to get rich quick doing R&D agents. And if you could stack a bunch of R&D agents, but you still have that travel that you have to go between all of them. But that's another thing too, is like if you're in Null-Sec and you have characters or alts that are just kind of like doing whatever, it is actually, I do recommend actually like, focusing down on a certain like data core, doing research and getting their skills up, because it is just kind of something that, can help fill the gap, especially if you're doing like Tech 2 manufacturing and, you are responsible for generating your own blueprints through invention. Why wouldn't you just have those research agents kind of going? And I might do a video that kind of goes over the whole research agent process a little bit better, just so it's a little bit more kind of public knowledge and as a reference. But it's the best way to get data cores for invention is definitely data sites. Even in Null-Sec, just going and running data sites, it's going to be quicker, but it's also just like passively you can get it too with the R&D agents. But anyway, don't want this one to run too long. I'm not doing a whole lot in Null today, just doing some project discovery, probably going to be working PI, and then more exploration. But thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications so you know when new episodes go live. And like always, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you have suggestions, let me know in the comments. If you want to support the channel and the content in the future, consider becoming a channel member where you get emotes and all that stuff. But yeah, peace out.